We are wearing black this morning in mourning for our Arsenal career. Yes, we are still technically employed by them, but as we all know and saw yesterday, the end is nigh. Welcome back, everyone, to episode number 117 of Bottom to the Top, which is most likely going to be our last, in the manager's chair at Arsenal. Now, normally I would be all excited because our youth intake has come in, and it looks like it could be a fairly decent one, but frankly, it doesn't matter. Because the club is unhappy with our situation. Several players feel that I am responsible for failing to meet the club's competition objectives. In this particular case, was getting to the latter stages of the Champions League. I was not the one on the pitch taking the penalties. I was not the one of the 3 players that we sent out there that failed to convert on their penalties. One of the players coming to us is Bukayo Saka. Along with him, Florian Wirtz, Jonathan Reyes, Alan, and Dixon Dockrace. A couple of guys I would like to keep around if we are still here. A couple of guys that I'm looking at going, yeah, thanks for showing up to this. Now you are on my list. The fact that Saka is here is a little bit frustrating to me. Now, in 8 matches in the Champions League, he did score 3 goals and added 3 assists. One of them came against Milan in the opening leg. However, that's it. A 6.7 average rating over the 2 legs in this tie tells me that maybe he should have done a little bit more, possibly. Florian Wirtz, don't get me started. 6.35 in the 2 halves of the Milan tie. I'm not even going to go through everybody. But come on, man. So Saka's not happy about our failure to reach the latter stages of the Champions League and wants to know what I intend to do about it. I'm determined to turn this around and need all of you on board to make that possible. Hey, that actually worked. So at least the squad is kind of still happy. However, the board is also very disappointed with our club vision progress, and it looks like we have a meeting to attend. So let's go to this meeting. Even though we just had a meeting on this subject, we're having another. They're disappointed the club didn't reach the UEFA Champions League latter stages, despite it being an important part of the vision they agreed to. What happened? However, we do recognize the excellent work you've done in adopting a possession-based game. We're going to say that's football at the end of the day, and we're determined to make amends next season. We're incredibly clear when agreeing the club's vision with you, but it's apparent that you're not interested in following it. As a result, we're not sure you're a good long-term fit for the club and ask you to consider your future with us. You have got to be kidding me. The majority of these options of responses are me tendering my resignation, which frankly, I'm not prepared to do. I'd rather go out fighting. So we're going to ask for a chance and say that we don't think the club needs any more upheaval. Trust me to get the job done. We've had enough of your management and we terminate your contract. We would rather it didn't have to come to this, but we wish you all the best for the future. Well, that was unexpected. Well, at least it's good to know there's still some loyalty in football. A mass exodus from Arsenal following Bottom's departure. Charlie Owen, Nick Cox, John Ochterberg, Danielle Benera, Tate McDowell, Nicholas Hauser, and Eduardo Rosalina, everyone who was with us at Fulham that we brought along with us, have decided to leave as well. Which begs the question, where do we go next? The only Premier League job is Liverpool, and really don't want to take that job, to be perfectly honest with you. There's Angers in Ligue 1, currently sitting at the bottom of the table. There is Cesena in Serie A, currently sitting at the bottom of the table. Mafra in Liga Portugal Betclic, they're in 17th place, only 2 points away from safety. Maybe That would be an interesting opportunity to go after. I'm not sure how many matches are left in their season. Probably a good 2 months worth. Only 2 points away from safety. Could be an interesting challenge to take on. Another team to potentially build up. But otherwise, that's it for all of the top flight teams. The only other option that I might consider would be Saint Etienne, but they're currently sitting 15th place in Ligue 2, and I'm not sure if that's as big a climb as we want to take. And looks like we won't be getting the Mofford job because the interview process is over. Day late and $1 short. I think we're going to just kind of bide our time and see what becomes available in the coming months. There are some juicy potential jobs with insecure management positions, including Julian Nagelsmann at Bayern Munich. Union Berlin not really working out for Bibar's Nacho, who they just brought in within the last couple of months. There might be a position open in Lille. I don't know. Also, a couple of Serie A jobs, Udinese and Sampdoria. They're all toward the bottom of the table, so I'm not sure what their position is going to be for the next year. I say we just wait it out and see what happens. And even though only a day has passed, I'm trying to remain as optimistic as possible. I'm starting to get interview requests, not from teams, but from the press, telling me the job at Charlton Athletic may be coming open, or the job at Bracknell in the Vanarama National League South, just in case I want to get back into management. Unexpected move in Portugal. Porto just fired their manager, so naturally we flung our hat into that ring as quickly as possible. Porto underachieving a little bit this year. They were predicted to come in 7th in the League of Portugal. They are currently sitting in 6th place, dropping points in their last 4 matches. Hopefully that may potentially be a nice soft cushiony landing spot at the Estadio de Dragao. We have also thrown our hat in the ring at Angers. They are 5 points away from safety in 18th place in Ligue 1. It's still a top flight job for right now. It could be very much like a Fulham, where even if they do get relegated, maybe bring them straight back up and start turning them into a force. I mean, I think the most frustrating thing for me this entire season, besides the fact that we just could not win away at home except for the one match that we did in the Premier League, is the fact that our old club, Fulham, is currently sitting in 2nd place. A distant 2nd place, 11 points behind Manchester United, with 10 games left to play and 2 games in hand over Man U, to be perfectly fair. But it's nice to see the team that I built continuing to succeed. Should I have stayed? In retrospect, yes. The Portuguese must love being incestuous with their managers, as Bach takes the hot seat at Mafra in 17th place in Liga Portugal, after being sacked by the team in 18th place in Liga Portugal. He was on the beach for a month, so it's only been a couple of days for us. We're still going to keep our head high. Now would probably be a good time to note that even though we have every country in every league loaded up in the database for this particular save, especially at the beginning, where we could have ended up anywhere, over the years, as we have gained in skill and reputation, we have limited the leagues that are available to be played. So right now, the only playable leagues in the game are Belgium, England, obviously, France, Germany, Portugal, Spain, and Italy, along with the Netherlands. Just double checking to make sure that I didn't miss it. Oh, and Serbia. For some reason, Serbia is still in there as a playable league. So that is going to limit our job prospects a little bit, because we're only going to have those 7 or 8 nations to choose from, and many of the jobs in those countries are going to be in lower leagues, like League 1. Notts County in the Championship has a gig open. Could be interesting, but not really what I'm looking for. Vanarama National League South, that would be a massive step down from back-to-back stints in the Premier League. Now, we got to the EPL very quickly in our career, relatively speaking. We started in the third tier of Belgium, we made our way to Turkey, and then straight to England and the top flight. Then the championship, but we all remember that story. I mean, we were handed a deck of cards that had no aces, if you know what I mean. But we quickly brought that team, Fulham, if you haven't been watching the entire series, up back to the Premier League after one season. We actually blew through our competition in the championship. Things were looking really good. We took the job at Arsenal, and obviously it did not work out the way that we had planned. Just out of curiosity, checking in to see how the Gunners are doing since we left, well, after we failed to get through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League by losing on penalties to Milan. The team lost 2-1 on the road in the FA Cup quarterfinal, so out of that cup competition. The only hardware this year for Arsenal is going to be the Carabao Cup, which we won for them. So they are going to be in Europe in the Europa Conference League, but getting absolutely no further because they followed that up with a home match against our old club in Fulham. Bukayo Saka picking up a goal, but that was it, a 1-1 draw at home, meaning that Arsenal has now not won in their last 5 matches in all competitions. Still sitting 15th in the Premier League, still 10 points away from safety, so I don't think Arsenal is at risk of getting relegated. So in that respect, I guess it's a bright side for the club. I was kind of hoping for their sake that maybe they would bounce back after we left, but because they have not, maybe it proves it wasn't all us. Admittedly, now we're getting a little cheeky. We know that there are some rumblings and grumblings of insecure jobs out there, so we've decided to declare our public interest in a few of them. Maybe unsettle the situation, drum up some activity from the teams we have applied to. We have let Athletic Bilbao know that we are interested in that job. Same with Union Berlin in the Bundesliga, and Bordeaux currently sitting, above the relegation zone. So as an established team in Ligue 1, but obviously one that is not achieving what they would have hoped. Ironically, as a Greek national, our manager is, and a member of the Greek Hall of Fame, we've been getting a lot of questions about Greece no longer having a team in the Champions League, and did they think we work there? Well, it looks like my little ploy worked because we've been offered an interview with Angers in France, currently at the bottom of the table. I'm fairly adept at learning languages. Don't you worry about that. Always wanted to manage in France. This could be my chance. What went wrong? Wasn't given a chance to see things through. Previous manager didn't enjoy the best of relationships with supporters. Am I confident in providing a different dynamic with them? I do try to forge a strong bond with the supporters. Didn't really work in Arsenal, but that's only because we were underperforming. No big deal. What makes you the ideal candidate to save a club unexpectedly struggling against relegation, and that has been in a relegation battle all season long? Motivating people is one of my strengths. Would I be able to take charge straight away? Yep. Will I work with your director of football? Sure. As part of the recruitment process, they're willing to allow us to make any changes to the current backroom staff. Give me a small budget. Our long-term vision outlines the next few years for the club. Will I be tasked with bringing this to life? If I get the job, do I have any thoughts regarding it? Attempt to avoid relegation this year. Be competitive in the Coupe de France, which I'm sure we are probably no longer a part of. I've already gotten the job at Angers in my mind. Attempt to avoid relegation for the next couple of years. Sounds good. What's next? Don't need anything else. Thank you for the opportunity. This does beg the question, do I rush into a job now, especially with a team that could potentially get relegated, whether or not we are there, or do we stick around until the summer, which is just a couple of months away, and see what else may be available? We're not going to jump in with both feet. We're going to keep our eyes open, our ears peeled, and our options, hopefully, at a maximum. One of the reasons I am leaning toward that option is because this time of year, when there's an open position that gets filled by somebody else, it's generally filled by somebody who is not currently in a job, because most people are not going to make a move from one team to another toward the end of the season. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for them to not see out the position where they are. It's very rare. It does happen sometimes, but it's rare. However, in the summer, once the league seasons have concluded, that's where you start seeing the movement from managers moving either up or across or going from one league to the next. So the number of opportunities that may open up, maybe even more than we think, because you're not only looking at a potential job that is open, but one that comes open as other positions begin to get filled. So Anjay have requested that we propose our list of backroom staff changes. We will handle that in just a minute because we have been offered a job interview with FC Porto, which frankly to me is a much better situation to potentially get into. Am I worried about not being able to speak the language? Of course not. It's fair to say you failed to live up to expectations at your former club. Why weren't you able to produce the goods? I wasn't given a chance to see it through. Hey, it's an answer that worked for Anjay. Hopefully it works for the folks at FC Porto. Can I explain why I appear to be in the running for a few jobs? I am exploring my options. Are you able to ease our worries about losing the backing of your players and the subsequent airing of dirty laundry in public? Exception rather than the rule. It's the answer we've always given. Could I come in and get our disappointing season back on track? I'm all about motivation. We'd like to know when you intend to establish yourself as club's manager as soon as possible. Yes, I'll be happy to work with your director of football. Am I looking to bring any staff? Give me a small budget. Why not? It's also a good indication if I'm going to get the job, as we know, with Anjay. This season, they're looking to be competitive in the Champions League. Challenge for the Liga Portugal title. That's not really happening. That really can't be an expectation of us, can it? Reach the latter stages of the Portuguese Cup. Be competitive in the League Cup. And work toward developing the best youth system in the country. Sure, that all sounds good to me. No, I don't need anything else. Thank you very much for your time. So as I go through the list of all of my past personnel, those at Arsenal, those that we've worked with at Fulham, that could potentially come with us to Angers, suggesting any changes, none of them want to come. So at this point in the season, really don't see a ton of value in firing members of the current staff. Having somebody in the position is better than not having anybody and having to search for someone at a time where, frankly, there aren't a ton of people looking for jobs in these positions. So I think we're going to stand pat and see where we go. But this could be another reason why Angers maybe not the best landing place for us at the moment. Oh, and all right, here is the other thing. So Angers have approached us for the job, offering us a robust 8,250 euros per week. Now, I know all of the money is in the Premier League, so having to take a pay cut for wherever we go next that isn't in the top flight of England is probably a foregone conclusion. This is a massive step down, however. We were making 150,000 euros a week. Now, we do have money socked away, so money isn't like the be-all, end-all for us right now. But the Porto job is still a potential out there, so at the very least, we're going to request a delay for 1 week from Angers and hope that Porto comes back to us in that time. Another executive decision has been made regarding the save. We have made the Greek leagues playable once again. Now, that's not going to take effect until the end of June of this calendar year, 2035, in-game, obviously. The reason being, we are a member of the Greek Hall of Fame. We are a Greek national. If there's a chance to return to our home country and dominate with a team there, then that may be a great ending point for this save. We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Obviously, we would need to do massive things with a team in Greece should we get there, but maybe that should be our goal. Haven't decided yet, but at least we're giving ourselves the option. Hey, wow, some actual good news for a change. Now, even though officially Graham Potter is listed as the leading candidate for the FC Porto job, he's also the leading candidate for the job that we left at Arsenal, to be fair. According to this news article, an FC Porto supporter spokesperson has admitted that Nick Bottom is amongst their leading candidates for the manager's job. I hope this is not the kiss of death, because we only have a very limited amount of time before we need to decide what we're doing with Angers and if we're going to make the move to France for a lot less money. We have asked for an additional delay from Angers. They came back to us. Obviously, a week was up. Still waiting to hear back from FC Porto. And in the meantime, Angers continues to drop. They're now 7 points away from safety, assuming that by making up those 7 points, they find a way to deal with the goal difference between them and Strasbourg. Meanwhile, Bordeaux getting ever closer to the drop zone as well. So we'll see if that job happens to become available. Probably that's going to be a slightly better situation for us if we were to move to France. Still would love to get the gig at Lille. They're in 8th place, just outside of a European place. Not sure if that job is going to become available by the time we need to make a decision somewhere else, or even if it will become available in the summer. We will obviously keep our eye on all of these things as we continue to move forward. I think Angers, though, we're ultimately going to have to turn them down, either by taking another job or just saying, you know what, thank you very much, but we're going to keep looking. Looks like another job in France is open. RC Strasbourg Alsace, currently just outside of the relegation zone. We were literally just talking about them. Well, they just sacked their manager. Another hat into another ring. Well, you look at that. FC Porto have approached Nick Bottom and 7,000 a week. That is a massive pay cut. It's even less than Angers was giving us, but it's a much better position to be in. Currently 5th in their league, was in the Champions League this year, a European place right now for next year, still a possibility of Champions League football. 33 million in the transfer budget, a 2.7 million euro wage budget. Let's see if we can negotiate this at all. See if we can go to 8,500 for 3 years. No, they came back at 775. Let's go with 8,250 for 2. 7.75. You know what? Let's just take that. We have accepted the offer. We are going to be the new manager of FC Porto. And we're going to introduce ourselves to the team and get things started as we finish off the season in the Liga Portugal Betclic with FC Porto, currently sitting in 5th place. Chance at European football for next year. You know, we had that at Arsenal, but whatever. So come back tomorrow as we get things started with club number 5 in our Journeyman save. I hope to see you then. Make sure you like this video, subscribe if you haven't, and tune in tomorrow like you are obviously right now. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you then. Till then, bye-bye.